Sarkozy is in trouble for a series of complex reasons. I think part of it is Sarkozy has never really been that popular in France. He's not seen as very French. He is seen as a kind of oddball. I mean, he was often called during his first campaign the American. It was a moniker he embraced because he thought it showed that he was different and he was a change agent. Well, I think the French like that to a certain extent, but not as much as perhaps he thought. Sarkozy's great hope, of course, has been that the recent horrific anti-Semitic violence in France has in some ways rebounded to his credit. And that because he's able to be seen credibly as tough on law and order, tough on the support and defense of France's Jews, tough on some of these immigrant communities, that will translate into higher approval ratings and a re-election. It's quite possible that that will work. It's touched a raw nerve in France. Right now, Sarkozy is doing pretty well in the open race because he's up against 4 other major candidates. But once you move to that second round and you have Sarkozy versus Hollande, Hollande is able to unify a large amount of that anti-Sarkozy vote. And in fact, in the polling so far, he does quite well. And that is the most troubling thing for Sarkozy. In the past, it has been difficult for the left to unify around a candidate. For Hollande, the hill is very steep. People forget the socialists in France have not been in power since François Mitterrand. That's 25 years ago. And it's been a long period in which the socialists have been on the out, have been seen as a party that doesn't know how to govern. And as a result, he has to convince people not only that he has the right ideas, but that he has the executive capacity. He can't convince them that he has the executive experience, because he doesn't, but he has the capacity to be a president. And in the French system, of course, the president is a kind of super chief executive. In France, you're seeing the most consolidated left-wing reaction to the financial crisis and the repression. If you look at Monsieur Hollande's proposals, these are full-blooded left-wing proposals, including 75% tax rates, large-scale redistribution projects, much more regulation. If it works, I think politicians all over Europe will take note and will say, that's the winning formula. Sarkozy is a very mercurial character. He can quite often say things that are unpredictable. He can say things that are emotional. I'm sure he'll be trained not to do that, but that is his nature. If you've ever met him, he's a very excitable, voluble guy. Hollande is more, well, how should I put it, more French. He's more measured, he's more sophisticated, but as a result also a little bit less emotional. He perhaps doesn't connect as much as Sarkozy will. Whoever becomes president, the first order of business is going to be save Europe, the second order of business is going to be save Europe, and the third order of business is going to be save Europe. Its banks have to go through real stress tests. You're going to have to figure out what to do about Greece. You're going to have to figure out what to do about Spain and Portugal. But then you have the longer term issue of how do you prevent this from happening again, no matter what the campaign hinges on. What France will hinge on the day after the campaign is Europe, Europe, and more Europe.